Welcome to the Pinfall. I'm your host, Danny Bell. And today we have with us Hall of Fame official Chuck Barnett. Now, Chuck has had the best seat in the house to every single match that he's officiated. And I'm jealous on a few of them because he's been in some really good matches. Chuck, how is it on your end down there? I see you've been hunting a lot, and I'm glad to finally get you on the Zoom. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Good. I got an opportunity to talk with you this summer about possibly coming on the Pinfall to bring some light to officiating and to help maybe bring some more officials into the fold. And, with you being a Hall of Fame official, you have a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge that you can help us and maybe translate some of that you have into some of these fans and maybe get them on the mat as well.
Yep, that's what we work for. We're an older crew. The average age of the guys every year is, I think, 57 or 58. So I like to consider myself above average. And, we're just, we got to get the young people involved in it. The numbers, especially post-COVID, are horrible. And that's not just wrestling. That's all sports in the state of Indiana, and nationwide.
And, I've been noticing it. And that's why I was begging you to get on here. How many sports do you officiate?
I do. I've done wrestling for 41 years now. I started doing the unified flag football a couple of years ago. I have a special needs child myself. The unified flag football is it's fun. It's what sports are all about. The goal is not so much to win. It's just for those kids to have fun. And Robert Falcons is the commissioner for wrestling. He's also the commissioner for football and thus unified flag football. Voluntold me to do it to start with. And I tell you what, I hit the ground running, and it's very rewarding, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to get out there with the special needs kids, and they don't care if they win or lose. A lot of times they just want to have fun, and I have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, it's an enormous way to give back. And in that sense right there, you're bringing a sense of normalcy to a lot of kids who would normally have that kind of cheering section,
Yep.
And you're a high-level referee, so they're getting good officiating.
Yep. And some of the stuff carries over from sport to sport. But the unified is very low competition from the standpoint of fans, coaches. For the most part, everybody's out there to have fun. You're not nearly as close to the stands as you are in a wrestling meet. So if they are yelling at you, you don't hear it. And, it's outside. Did do a game this year where it was about 50 degrees and raining, something I'm not used to. And it gives me a little more admiration for those guys on Friday night out there doing it, when they're out there in the cold and ice and snow and everything else. So it's a different playing field, to say the least.
It definitely is. And there's a lot of different weather outside compared to that mat. Usually you're only smelling kids' farts and hot weather. So as a referee and as an official myself, a lot of my old coaches drew me into refereeing and to coaching as well. What inspired you to start officiating?
I'm from Southern Indiana. My brother is the first wrestler ever from Princeton High School to qualify for the state finals. He was 2 years behind me. And just watching him, just kind of enjoyed it. And from a whole different perspective, I was not a good wrestler. I was a runner in high school, still a runner or jogger now. Still try to jog 5 miles every morning, but I ran competitively back in the day. And so again, wrestling was kind of a side thing for me, but my brother was successful, wrestled for the Marine Corps, made the national team. He wrestled in college. And just watching him just kind of said, I'd like to be a little more involved in this. I had a good friend down in Princeton, Scott Wallace, who officiated. He said, you ought to try this. And I think Scott's done the eight times, maybe done the state finals, and before he retired, and he kind of snookered me into it. And 41 years later, here I am still doing it.
Yeah, well, hopefully we get to keep you for a few more.
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah, you're still pretty agile. Speaking of your agility, what are some of the qualities that you would need to become a referee?
Well, the basic thing is obviously you got to be in some kind of physical health out there because it is demanding, and a tired body makes a tired mind. And the thing is so you get out there in a long day tournament, you start to get tired toward the end of the day, and if you're not physically in shape, you get tired sooner, and that affects your ability then to make the good decisions and be in the right position out there. So I encourage all the people that get involved. As I get a little older, I'm not as quick and not as agile and limber as I used to be, but I'm a little smarter about anticipating and being in the right place. I tell everybody that you don't have to be an Adonis to be out here and do this, but you can't be you can't be 400 pounds and out of shape. You can't be 150 pounds and out of shape. So the whole thing is the number one thing is you got to have the knowledge of the sport itself, but you also need to be physically in shape enough to keep up with it.
Yeah, there's a few times where you're in the right position and you still have to bounce out and bounce out and bounce out because they just turn into a ball of flesh rolling all over the place. Being a referee as in wrestling, you definitely have to be on your toes or they're going to be on them.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot of different situations in wrestling that, a lot of people on the outside are curious about, with being an official, you get an opportunity to have conversations with not just the wrestler, but the coach, the AD, and everybody else. How does a referee go about having a positive relationship with wrestlers and coaches and everyone else?
Well, it's kind of like I say, it's kind of like in life, you got neighbors you got to live next to. You got a boss, you got coworkers, and the thing is that anybody, communication skills are a top thing. We can agree to disagree, but we don't have to be enemies out there, And the thing is just, and I'm better at it the older I get. When I was a younger official, a lot of times I kind of wanted to stick my chest out and say, this is my game, this is my rules out here. As an official, I'm the ultimate authority, just like a parent. I don't have to argue with my kids. I can win every argument if I want to.
Right.
Argument with a coach if I want to. But the issue is, I think a coach respects you. If you make a mistake, they convince you that you made the wrong call, that you misinterpreted the rule. You listen to what they say and you adjust it if you need to. And I think they respect when you can man up and admit that you're wrong. If you goof something up, I haven't met a referee yet that hasn't made a mistake out there somewhere. And, the older I get, the more I realize, the more my wife tells me that I made a mistake. And the thing is I just think that the whole premise of it is communication skills. And, some people are better at that than others. And I think when you have the ability, we've got some really good officials, but they're not communicators and they're not very approachable. We got some guys that are not very good officials, but they're extremely likable and approachable. So it's a combination of honing your game, to be good at your craft, but also remembering that, we all need to talk out there and try to get to the best resolution. And close calls, 50% of the crowd thinks it went this team's way, 50% think it went that team's way. And, it's not a popularity contest. You just do the best of your ability. And I think if you're, well-grounded in the rules and you're approachable, you're going to be pretty successful.
I agree, and with as many opportunities as we have now with the openings in refereeing, there are opportunities that the state is giving fans and, anyone who wants to become an official with things like scholarships and mentoring programs.
Absolutely.
How would you go about with the scholarship for if you want to become an official?
Well, we have 24 athletic officials associations across the state. Up here, we're get a little crowded up here in Northwest Indiana. I'm a member of the Calumet Association. We also have the Lake County Association, who just started a wrestling program. They didn't have one before. Northwest Association is also in Lake County. They do not have a wrestling program. And the Hoosier Association, kind of over in LaPorte County, does not have a wrestling. And so most of the wrestling officials up here, all the wrestling officials up here belong to the Calumet Association. From that standpoint, but any of the 24 associations across the state, can set up officials in any sport with a scholarship, where we would give you a free IHSAA license the first year. We would also give you free membership to the local association. We would assign you to a mentor, and it's not just one person. The entire group kind of takes you under your wings. We have officials meetings where we sit down, talk about situations, rules, interpretations, get those new guys to come there. I very seldom ever go to a meet where I just go by myself. I generally take somebody along with me, usually a new official, sometimes an older official, just kind of wants to ride along and assist, get out there and work in on the mat. So that and the hierarchy of any of the associations can assist with that scholarship program. So I stepped down as the chairman. Everybody still thinks I'm the chairman of the Calumet Association. I'm not. I haven't been for about 7 years, but I'm still very, very involved with it. Jason Lawrence is actually the chairman now, but I'm the secretary for the Calumet Association. So I have the ability to give those scholarships out. I mean, I can do it, and I can do it for anybody in the entire state, and I can do it for any sport. Another new thing that we come up with the IHSAA in the past couple of years, they offer an officiating 101 class. And I think we have about 100 schools of the 400 plus IHSAA schools now offering an officiating class for kids that are juniors and seniors, and they could actually get a probationary license for free. And I went up to Chesterton High School a week or two ago and actually presented to that class. I think we had 24 kids in there that had expressed some interest in becoming an official. So lots of ways that you can get in there. And, your license is about $70 a year, and you make that back if you do one match. Your association dues are about $30 a year. As I said, we'll waive those for officials the first year and get them hooked up with someone. You get up to 3 sports for one fee. Every additional sport's $5. I mean, we got some guys that do 15 sports.
Wow.
Mostly, though, guys stick with kind of the same little area of sports. The big 3, baseball, basketball, football. Get a lot of guys that do those 3 sports. Basketball, Indiana, obviously the most popular sport there is.
Right.
I'm going to say pre-COVID, we had about 7,000 licensed officials in Indiana across the board in all sports. 3,500 of those, so half, are basketball officials.
Wow.
We had about 450 wrestling officials a couple of years ago. We're just a little over, we're probably 225 these days, so half of what we had, and some of that is age. We've got a lot of guys that moved away. Just a lot of guys didn't come back after COVID. And I say guys, it's mostly guys. Very few female wrestling officials in Indiana. We're working on that, trying to get a bunch more. I mean, get in on the ground floor. And with the new weigh-in rules, it used to be guys could weigh in girls, could not weigh in girls. Girls could not weigh in guys. And now everybody can weigh in everybody because we weigh in our uniforms. And so some of the barriers that we had that kept some of the female officials back, they would go to a dual meet. Well, they can't do a weigh-in. So nobody wants to hire them if they can't do the weigh-in. So now that's not a problem. We weigh in the gym in front of everybody in our uniforms. So no reason for them to be held back anymore. And so at every match I do, I try to encourage fans, coaches, wrestlers, older brothers and sisters of those people, parents. It's like, we need some more people. We got to get involved.
Definitely. With all the people we have a huge following of fans for wrestling in Northwest Indiana and the state of Indiana. I'd really appreciate if a lot of the guys out there and ladies would really step up. I hear a lot of you in the fans. You sound like officials in the stands. It'd be nice if you wore the stripes too. There's a lot of different things this year. One of the different things that I want to talk to you about was the new scoring for takedowns and out of bounds. One, I feel that the scoring with 3-point takedowns is going to limit the amount of time officials have to be on the mat because it's going to shorten up tournaments, as well as the out of bounds is going to give them an opportunity to be in a better position to make the right call, being that you only have to have one extremity in. What do you think about that?
I like that. We're still a little bit limited in the high school level by the size of the mats. So we can say that all you got to have is 1 point of contact, and we don't use the term supporting points anymore because it doesn't have to support anything. 1 point of contact, not counting your hair. But anything that's touching the mat, you can wrestle. But still, yet you're limited by the fact if the gym floor is, there's 4 feet of space there, and then you're on the gym floor. So it's where facilities permit. Now you see some of these big college mats that got 10 or 15 feet outside of the circle. You see some high school mats that got 3 feet outside of the circle.
Right.
So we're still limited by that at some point, but as time goes, they'll start to acclimate, and they'll buy bigger mats. They're putting little safety mats along the side, there to extend that wrestling area, because they want to promote offense. I believe the statistics not exact, but at the Indiana Mat Hoosier preseason open last year, I believe there was something in the nature of, let's say, 50 tech falls during the tournament last year. This year, it was quadruple that, and with additional scoring and using college. Well, we used to call it college out of bounds. Now it's high school out of bounds. Promoting the offense, had a lot more tech falls. So it does promote offense, and it prevents stoppages in the mat. So yeah, things you just allow them to wrestle a lot longer and a lot further. So I like it. Keep it moving.
I like it too. I've noticed that, even like I said, tournaments are a lot quicker now, and dual meets are even faster when you have a lopsided matchup. They go really quick. But in those situations, I know you're going to get a lot of criticism from fans and wrestlers on the side of the mat, and even weirdos like me in the media. How do you deal with that kind of criticism from people when you're out there on the mat?
Well, everybody's an expert. My first state finals, I think I worked in 2004. My parents came up from Southern Indiana, and she asked me how many referees got to officiate the state tournament. And I said, well, there are 12 on the mat, and there are about 10,000 in the fans, in the stands. And
that's right.
So basically, you can't get caught up to that. What we call rabbit ears. You can't be listening to what fans are saying. Most of the time, there are a lot of educated fans. There are even more uneducated fans. They'll be yelling for, let's say, well, locked hands. He has locked hands around the body. And it's like, well, that's okay if you're standing up or if there's no control. And they're like, no, you can't lock your hands around the body. It's like, well, when you're in control down on the mat, you can't. But when you're standing up, you can. And they're like, never knew that, And so it's like with any sport, I've been a baseball fan forever. I don't know all the rules of baseball. I think I'm an expert sometimes. And from that standpoint, the issue is you have to entertain the complaints or questions from the coach, but you don't have to entertain them from the fans. In fact, you shouldn't entertain them from the fans. And most of the time, fans want to come up to me after the match and talk about a bad call I made that affected their son, their daughter, or anybody else they know. Generally, it's not a winning situation. So I'm pretty easy to approach and to talk about things, but there's a time and a place. So you just kind of have to tune out what's being yelled out from the stands, but you got to entertain the coaches. And if you coach brings you to the bench and asks a question, he's got a good point, then you want to change that call. Well, now you can expect a visit from the other coach to come over there. And why did he talk you into that? I was like, well, he didn't talk me into it. He pointed out that I missed it. And I'm pointing out that he missed it. And, so you become a little bit of a referee with the coaches. But for the most part, as I said, there's no reason to lose your cool in those things. And some people approach you a little better than others. And, sometimes we just agree to disagree.
Right. Well, what advice would you have for fans that are, in the stands? What advice would you have them to make them understand the situation a little bit better?
Well, it's kind of funny. I've been to some schools before that actually, when they pass out, when you come in the door, they'll pass out a roster, and say, here's team A's, here's team B. And some of them even actually give you out a second or third page there. They got some wrestling rules in there and tell you how they score. Now, obviously they can't give you the entire rule book. But from that standpoint, there's some nuances in there that are pretty technical. But just a lot of people just to give them a little scoring thing on there, and it's like, wow, pretty cool idea. You got to print that up one time and then just make copies of it moving forward. So there are fans who are involved in the sport and know a lot about it. And there are fans who are very involved and know nothing about it. And anybody that wants to have a conversation with me about a rule or a situation, not always right there after a match, but later in the day, I see people in Walmart, go, hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, what's the rule about this? I get a lot of calls that, hey, we had a match tonight. The referee did this, did that. And I just say, okay, first of all, I'm not going to throw a referee under the bus. I'm not going to say he was right or wrong because I didn't see it. Sometimes they'll send me a video and they'll say, is this stalling? And I say, well, you sent me a 7-second clip. Be nice to see what happened the 4.5 minutes before that 7-second clip.
Exactly.
Kind of tough to piece that together with partial information. But I'm always open to answering those questions for officials, fans, and coaches in a calm setting, and not in a heated setting.
Right. Well, what's it like being in those high pressure, high stakes matches? I know you've seen a few of them. Like, oh, I drew this one. Okay, I'm gonna be on it today. What's it like?
Well, good wrestling is easier to officiate because they do what they're supposed to do. Middle school wrestling is the hardest thing to officiate because they don't do anything they're supposed to do for the most part. So as you had mentioned earlier, and anticipating and being in position works great until you get overhook and an underhook and you get over on the side where he's supposed to throw him and he throws him the other direction. And, I'll tell him sometimes, it's like, hey, I can make myself look like a dummy all by myself. I don't need you to help me. And, but good wrestling is easier to officiate, and it pretty much takes care of itself because they don't do the silly things. They don't throw people the wrong direction. They generally don't stall. They don't lock hands. They don't do the little silly things that you have to be on guard for. And so now, the coaches for good wrestlers, not always the easiest to officiate for because it's pretty, on their end, they're competitive. They go to bat for their kids out there. But again, for the most part, it is high pressure, but you go out there and, I try to prepare myself the same way for a state championship match. And I've done, heck, I don't know, 16 of them, I think, championship matches. It's you, one other official, 2 wrestlers in front of 10 or 12,000 people. And you don't really notice them because, if you're focusing on the wrestling, you don't really notice them out there.
You're locked in.
That kind of takes care of itself. But, that's where, where doing the work and being in position and knowing the rules, that's where it's going to pay off for you.
It really is, and I think also in those high stake matches, it's so valuable to have a competent ref also on that mat with you. How important do you feel the referee teamwork is on the mat?
Oh, it's on and off the mat. So one thing that Robert Falcons has said since he became our commissioner, maybe 14 or 15 years ago, is that the camaraderie amongst the wrestling officials, he said, is like no other. He also does baseball. He does football. And he said those guys are like a lot of times in competition with each other as well. He said the general camaraderie amongst the wrestling officials is that we like each other. We want to help each other. Now we have our little disagreements here, there, and yonder, and a spat, but we work together. The out of season matches, the meetings, the training, everybody wants to promote everybody. When it comes to having an assistant official, the only time during the year that we have to have those are at the semi-state and the state finals. So we get in some guys that have never really done it until they get their first semi-state. So they don't know how to do it, or they don't know how to have an assistant out there with them. So what we've already promoted at Calumet, and we are the largest of Wrestling Officials Association state. I think I have 64 members in the Calumet Association. I have guys from Fort Wayne, South Bend, Indianapolis, Evansville, Terre Haute, guys joined from all over Bloomington to be a part of our meetings because we do promote during the regular season. Like anything else, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. And we have a particular training session, and during the tournaments during the year, even dual meets, if we can, we assist. And then we talk about, where you're supposed to be as an assistant, what you can do. I think many fans, back to your thing about do fans know the rules? A lot of fans will say, why didn't the assistant change that call? The assistant has no authority to change any call. They're out there as an assistant. They can offer their opinion. The official can agree with it, can disagree with it. They talk it over. But for the most part, if I ask my assistant, what do you got? I mean, I want him to be truthful. If I get a young guy out there, they agree with me. I said, don't agree with me just because I'm the senior guy. I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I'm not going to be offended. And the same thing, I can't worry about offending someone when I say, hey, you missed that. That was not a takedown. And but they don't have to listen. But we rely on each other, and so we promote that. I say two half-wits make a whole wit. I mean, four eyes out there are better than two eyes, and you see better things. And official focuses on one thing, assistant focuses on another. Especially some of these out of bounds rules now, where I'm out there watching to make sure, see if we got a pin out there, and I got to try to look over here and see if a toe is still in bounds. That's where the assistant can come to help you. So we focus up in wrestling to try to assist as much as possible, to learn how to do it. So when you have to do it, it's not new to you. It's second nature to do it.
Yeah, I've noticed when I first got to start, when I was shadowing in a few times, I realized that there is a rotation. You should be like a moon and a sun, a yin and a yang, consistently moving around that circle. And the more you do that, the less you miss. And
absolutely.
It's a very big and beneficial wise for referees to have a really agile, quick, knowledgeable referee helping him out, because you literally can't miss a call then. You're going to have like you said, four eyes are better than two. And when there are four really good eyes that know the rules, I'm in good hands. I always loved coaching when there was two referees. I knew I was going to have a better chance. But then I also knew I couldn't yell as much.
You got also, you don't have two sets of eyes only. You have two sets of ears to listen to you as well.
That's right. But I appreciate you coming on here tonight. I got an opportunity to really pick into your brain a little bit, and being an official myself, I've been a few years out now. I really, I tell every kid at every single tournament, or every parent that has an opinion about a call, I tell them, there's a website for that. And I even put it on our Pinfall here. We promote officiating here. And for everyone out there, I hope that you guys got an opportunity to listen to this and see maybe I'd like to do this. I didn't know there was scholarships. I didn't know there was mentoring. I didn't know you would pay for it for me for the first year. There was a lot of people that may not have known this. And, I appreciate you coming on here and helping us out with that, and, bringing light to a lot of this.
Yeah, a lot of these young kids, they're a little nervous about. They go to a big match, they go to the old Crown Point Maryville matches, or the Portage Maryville matches, Chesterton Crown Point matches, and they say, I don't want to get out there and get yelled at, and it's like you guys aren't going to get that match for quite some time. I'm not going to, I've got some coaches around here that are really awesome and patient, take their time with these younger officials. So I'm a signer. I sign for 30 schools up here, and I try to get guys, I try to get the right level of competition with the right level of official. No official is ever made to take a match that he or she does not want to take. Everything we put out there is volunteer. Well, you get paid, but I mean, it's like, I'm not going to say, hey, you have to go to this match tonight. I throw it out there, say who's interested. And the young guys and the young girls that are officiating, they're not going to get that big, tough match where it's high pressure and all the stakes for the conference championship are on there. Going to start them out with the low people, the low key coaches that not necessarily not bad programs, but coaches who are chill and who are mellow and are not gonna get up their tail and scare them away from the sport. And when I started in 1979, probably my second match, I got chewed up pretty good down in Southern Indiana, and I bailed out on it for probably 7 or 8 years before I did it again. So we want to bring them along and mentor them, and just not throw them not in the fire. No baptism by fire here. It's like it's
right.
An experience.
Well, Chuck, I appreciate you coming in, and maybe we can get you here in the future again when we get down around the state series and get your ideas. Hopefully by that time I will have a nice group of a bunch of calls that I can help you work us through to make the fans understand, because, as a media guy now, I get a lot of people saying, hey, did you see this? What did you think about this? And now I have a guy I can send them to.
Hey, and anybody that has any interest in wrestling or any other sport, I'd be glad to help them out in any part of the state. If I sign up a guy from Evansville up here to be a baseball umpire, I can do it, and he'll be an IHSAA umpire, but he also is a member of Calumet, which really doesn't help him. He'd need to be a member of Southern or Southwestern or Mid-States. But I have a connection in all those associations. Say, I'm going to hook you up with Kevin Hillsman. I'm going to hook you up with Steve Anslinger, John Gillespie. We'll get your scholarship down there. We also get the association. I'm a pretty wide networker when it comes to that. But up here in the Northwest Indiana, anybody in any sport, I'm happy to help out in any way possible. And if I can't do it, I get appointed to the right person, because our numbers are critically low. And on the high end of things, a lot of guys, myself included, in the next 4 or 5 years, the attrition rate is going to be pretty high, because a lot of the top end guys are going to be done with this. We lost Jim Russell last year after he did state tournament, and he's doing a few matches this year. He's done a state tournament series, not moving forward anymore. He and myself are the rules interpreters for the IHSAA, and that's a big loss when we lose him.
Well, Chuck, I appreciate you. And like I said, we'll get you on here again pretty soon.
Yep.
And
anytime.
For everybody out there, I appreciate you guys tuning in with us. And remember, in life, like on the mat, it's all about how you bounce back. I'm Danny Bell. We'll be back on the Pinfall next week, Region Sports.
Thank you.
When life keeps you busy and you can't get to the store, shop online with Strachan Van Til To Go. Our to-go service is easy to use. Register using your rewards account information, fill your virtual cart, and choose delivery or pickup. Once your order is in, our own Strachan Van Til team preps your order with care. With our to-go service, you can earn reward points and save time and money with our online coupons and weekly ad prices. Life made simple, shopping made easy. For more information or to sign up, visit shop.strachanvantil.com.
Hi, I'm Crowd Company's Lantern Man. For years, I've helped your family and friends save on their car insurance. And now I've returned to rescue you from high prices. Whether you have a perfect driving record or a not-so-perfect record. Follow me to the Crowd Agency for immediate and affordable coverage. I'm your insurance superhero. Crowd Company's insurance professionals. Highland, Merrillville, and Michigan City.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
With electrical services from Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, you can radiate the perfect amount of light and energy into your home. From rewiring and code upgrades to ceiling fans, lighting, security, and more, Economy Electric Heating and Cooling's trained electricians will make sure you can enjoy your home on full power all the time. For a free estimate on electrical work, call Economy Electric Heating and Cooling at 219-923-4441, and you can visit them on the web at forajobdoneright.com. That's the number 4ajobdoneright.com.
First home, dream home, forever home. Tech Credit Union has the right home loan for you. Their loan officers could help you purchase a home, refinance your current mortgage, or unlock your home's equity to get cash out for any purpose. Let Tech Credit Union show you why they are the better option for a home loan. Learn more at www.techcu.org or call 800-276-8324. Tech Credit Union is an equal housing lender and federally insured by the NCUA.
Four Seasons Mechanical proudly serves Northwest Indiana, providing quality, reasonably priced, reliable service. With a quality and comfort guarantee, the professionals at Four Seasons Mechanical offer a wide range of services in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Whether it's residential or commercial, Four Seasons Mechanical is there 24/7. To find out more, the website is fourseasonsmechanical.com or give them a call at 219-756-7020. Four Seasons Mechanical, your indoor air quality specialists.
Earn while you learn from the best hands in the business. The Bricklayers Allied Craftworkers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. That's right, this is a paid apprenticeship.
I'm getting an education while learning a trade and getting paid for it.
The thing that surprised me the most about this apprenticeship program is the respect I have received after the proper time and training.
Classes start soon, so apply now. There are training centers throughout Indiana and Kentucky. We are the Bricklayers and Allied Craftworkers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. The best hands in the business.
Blythe's Team Sports in Valparaiso is a leader in athletics apparel and equipment sales. With in-house production including screen printing, trophies, embroidery, and more, Blythe's can help you to create the perfect look. For more information, visit them online at teamblythes.com. Blythe's Team Sports in Valparaiso, where the athletes shop.